Okay, this video is in response to a question that I got from my lab videos. And the person asked if I was going to start in cybersecurity today, where would I start? So, first thing I want to say is saying that you want to be in cybersecurity is kind of like telling people you want to be an attorney, all right? There are all kinds of attorneys. There's real estate attorneys, there's tax attorneys, there's criminal law attorneys, there's trial attorneys. The same goes for cybersecurity. There's so many areas that you could possibly choose. The first thing I would do is figure out what you want to do in cybersecurity. So by that I mean, do you want to go into network security? That's securing firewalls and routers and the actual network itself, the traffic that goes into it. Do you want to go into privileged access management? That is privileged accounts. I've spent a lot of time in that myself. Identity and access management. That's another area that I've spent a lot of time in, which, by the way, is where a lot of the money is. Cloud security, another area where it pays a lot. There's penetration testing. Digital forensic. Penetration testing, by the way, everybody wants to be an ethical hacker. It doesn't pay that much. And by the way, very, very, very few people ever become penetration testers that start out with the path. And even fewer than that do it quickly, okay? That's something that takes years of experience because you have to know all areas of cybersecurity. To be a cybersecurity engineer, you have to know everything in IT and all the areas of cybersecurity itself, how to secure data, how to secure the systems, all that stuff. You have to know how information moves through ports. I do this on a daily basis. I set up systems where we're troubleshooting LDAP with Active Directory, LDAP connections, secure LDAP connections. And those require different ports. NTP, SNTP, SNMP. So these are all things that you probably don't know what I'm talking about because I'm throwing out acronyms if you're a beginner. But, there's things you're going to get exposed to eventually. But again, to answer your question, we need to figure out what you want to do. So the very first thing is, I would say, look for a cybersecurity engineer's roadmap. Now, I wrote a book called The Cybersecurity Engineer's Roadmap, and each chapter has a different area of cybersecurity. I'm not going to advocate that you go out there and buy my book because I don't want to be that person. But and there are lots of people on this platform that claim to have a roadmap for you, and most of them have very little experience from what I've seen. So I wouldn't follow their roadmap. What I would do, if I were you, without having to spend the money, you could jump on ChatGPT and ask it to create you a cybersecurity roadmap. It's going to list a bunch of areas of cybersecurity. Mine has, computer maintenance, network security. By the way, I'm looking right at it. Windows operating systems, Linux operating systems, privileged access management, PKI, public key infrastructure. You want to get to know an area that will get you a job fast? PKI, public key infrastructure. That is certificates, okay? If you learn how to create and sign certificates and really understand them, that's an area that some of the best cybersecurity engineers these days don't know well. And that's not a joke. I work with people every day that don't understand certificates. So that's one area. If you really want a job, get to know that because everything we do has to do these days with certificates, whether it's, connecting to an API or just hitting a SaaS platform on a website. You're using a certificate to validate that, that the site is secure. I'm sorry, I have hiccups. So, to answer that question, you need to figure out what you want to do, okay? Sorry for the long-winded video.